United States, where a stunning election upset has gripped the world. Donald Trump has been elected president, beating rival Hillary Clinton in the race for the White House. Mr. Trump defied the polls, clinching 276 electoral votes ahead of Hillary Clinton's 218. It was a win that was nail-biting to the very end.
It was a scene of euphoria at the Republican Victory Party. After 18 months of presidential campaigning, Donald Trump defied all predictions to become the 45th U.S. president.
Ours was not a campaign, but rather an incredible and great movement made up of millions of hardworking men and women who love their country and want a better, brighter future for themselves and for their family. Now it's time for America to bind the wounds of division, have to get together. To all Republicans and Democrats and independents across this nation, I say it is time for us to come together as one united people. It's time.
The real estate mogul, who has never held elected office, has promised change from his first day in office. He also pledged to be a president for all Americans. And shedding his usual provocative style, he had these generous words for Mrs. Clinton.
I've just received a call from Secretary Clinton. She congratulated us, it's about us, on our victory. Hillary has worked very long and very hard over a long period of time, and we owe her a major debt of gratitude for her service to our country.
Mrs. Clinton has not commented on her defeat. It must be a bitter pill for the former Secretary of State to swallow. She had entered Election Day with national polls placing her ahead. And even as signs began hinting at a Republican victory, her campaign remained defiant.
But I could say we can wait a little longer, can't we? We're still counting votes, and every vote should count. Several states are too close to call, so we're not going to have anything more to say tonight.
But that proved to be of little comfort to her supporters. Earlier in the day, the election battle proved to be a highly pitched one. Vote counts across many states came down to the wire. But Mr. Trump eventually came up tops. He held on to Republican territory while clinching key swing states like Florida and Ohio. He also broke ground, winning over Democratic strongholds like Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. The election result has polarized many Americans.
No one thought that he could do it, but he's pulled it off.
And it's just so saddening to me that this could possibly happen to our nation.
We are tired of the corruption at all levels. The corruption from the Democrats and the corruption from the Republicans. We want that swamp clean.
Mr. Trump's victory wraps up an election season that has been marred by scandals and divisiveness. He will enter the White House in January after President Obama finishes his term. Only time will tell whether he will deliver on his campaign slogan, "To make America great again."
Republicans had further cause for cheer. They retained their hold on Congress, carving out a majority in both the House of Representatives and the Senate. They dominated the House by over 50 seats. While Democrats made significant headway in the Senate this year, they trailed by a slim margin, 47 to 51. It wasn't just financial markets reacting to the results of the U.S. presidential elections. World leaders, too, are reacting. Russia says that it's ready to do its part to fully restore ties with the United States after Mr. Trump's victory. Mr. Trump is widely viewed as friendly towards the Kremlin. Asian leaders, too, have reacted swiftly to news of a Trump presidency. Chinese President Xi Jinping has called Mr. Trump to congratulate him. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has congratulated Mr. Trump. He says the alliance between Tokyo and Washington is unshakable. Across the causeway, the Malaysian Prime Minister says that Mr. Trump has appealed to Americans who wanted to see the U.S. less embroiled in intervention abroad.
presiden yang akan membangunkan ekonomi dan akan menyediakan kerjaan yang memberi pendapatan ataupun ganjaran yang lebih baik ataupun high paying jobs. Inilah yang menjadi isu kritikal di kalangan pengundi daripada messaging yang lain. Jadi kalau nampaknya bila dia konsisten dengan messaging to make America great, to a stronger economy and better jobs.
Prime Minister Lee Hsien-loong took to Facebook to congratulate U.S. President-elect Donald Trump. Mr. Lee said that Mr. Trump's candidacy took many by surprise, noting that the president-elect defied expectations at each stage, and his journey has ultimately taken him to the White House. Mr. Lee added that it's been a contentious, ugly election season, one that has exposed a bitter divide in the American people. He said that while many will celebrate this result, others will understandably be surprised and disappointed. But Mr. Lee noted that like the Brexit referendum in June, Mr. Trump's victory is part of a broader pattern in developed countries. He said it reflects a deep frustration with the way things are and a strong wish to reassert a sense of identity and to somehow change the status quo. Mr. Lee added that U.S. voters have elected a president whom they feel best represents them, and Singapore fully respects their decision. Mr. Lee said that Singapore will continue to work together with the United States to cultivate strong ties. Hundreds turned up at the U.S. Presidential Elections Watch Party at a local hotel this morning to watch the election results unfold. They included members of the American Chamber of Commerce in Singapore, Americans living in Singapore, and students were among those who turned up for the elections watch. And in true American fashion, there were familiar U.S. brand snacks and social media booths on site to keep the audience entertained as they watched the results unfold live on the projection screens. The U.S. ambassador to Singapore said that the election results will not change relationships given the robust check and balance system that America has in place.
American business is a force multiplier for our foreign policy, and the amount of Singaporeans and people in this region who work for American companies, they understand us incredibly well, and that's not going anywhere. So regardless of who happens to be in one chair in America, our ties go back 180 years from our first consul general that was here in Singapore, and it's not going to get any lesser, I don't think.
But others were less optimistic, citing concerns about the fate of the Trans-Pacific Partnership deal, which may hang in the balance.
We've got some work to do. Obviously, we need to explain more about how international trade and trade in the Pacific in particular is important to American prosperity. And being able to communicate that message clearly to the new administration will be one of our top priorities.
It was a sea of red across major Asian markets at the close of trading day following Donald Trump's victory. Economists warn that the economic environment will continue to look challenging, especially for Singapore, if Mr. Trump applies his anti-trade rhetoric in his foreign policies. Like other global currencies, the Singapore dollar fell against the US dollar at the end of the Asian trading day. The US dollar was quoted at 1.39146.
Volatility may continue to hit major financial markets in the coming days, and some experts say such uncertainties may be the new status quo going forward. With a campaign rhetoric that was largely anti-trade and favoring domestic-focused policies, key trade policies such as the Trans-Pacific Partnership comes under threat. Economists say the new presidential-elect may give focus to domestic-boosting policies, which could be at the expense of global trade and growth.
Traditionally, when we see a stronger U.S. economy, being the largest economy in the world, it tends to benefit the rest of the world. But I think if they go ahead with their sort of a protectionism, sort of policies, the rest of the world may not benefit that much from a stronger U.S. For the smaller, more open economies that's very dependent on trade, certainly we need to be a bit more cautious with regards to the downside potential.
Markets did not react favorably to Donald Trump's surprise win in the U.S. presidential race. There were shades of Brexit as the news sparked the sell-off in Asian and European markets, as well as a flight to safe haven assets such as gold. Key Asian markets closed in the red despite a brief rally just before the end of trade today. The STI closed almost 1.1% lower, while Japan's Nikkei index was one of the biggest losers, closing more than 5% lower. China's Shanghai Composite fared slightly better, with a 0.6% decline. European indices were also affected, immediately heading south as markets opened. Meanwhile, gold saw one of its biggest rallies since Brexit in June, suggesting a level of uncertainty in the market.
The strategy, I think, for a lot of investors is to dump first and think later. But I think at the start of the session, there was a little bit of a positive mood. The market started to come up. But once Trump seemed to be taking lead, it quickly turned south. But towards the end of the day, I think the markets bounced back or recovered by half of its losses.
Meanwhile, local firms are still contending on how business will be affected with the new administration. The Singapore Business Federation says business expectations will suffer in the short term as a result, but remained hopeful for more clarity once the presidential-elect settles in.
It will certainly take a hit because of the uncertainty, but I think as more and more as he gets over the heat of the elections and appoint people into his policy team, I think there will be more certainty. There will be more certainty in the U.S. administration. I think then things will adjust. Like I said earlier, we have to adjust to this new reality, of our new relationship with the U.S.
The US is one of Singapore's top 3 trading partners, with bilateral trade reaching $76.7 billion in 2014.